All right, folks, thank you for joining me. Happy New Year's. God bless you all. Okay, it's the last day of the 2022 year. What an incredible show that we've watched. And as it all falls apart here, we got a guy who's been putting together some of the best research and putting all these connections together. And as we start to see the new system peek out at us, the light at the end of the tunnel, we want to be able to understand these connections, take effective action, and partake in the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to have Citizen of the Future join us once again. Thank you for taking your New Year's Eve here to come share some of your knowledge with us, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on again. I've seen so many people find value and actually dig into the research I laid down in the last video. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to send 2022 off with a jam-packed research video to bring citizens to the top of the fourth industrial revolution, because the mainstream media does such a crap job at providing awareness and providing education around these important topics that are part of a huge transformation, yet so little people know about this transformation. So that's why, this is I thought this was a great opportunity for all of us to break it down and bring these topics right to the top of the surface here. And I think everyone, is going to get some good, interesting things to see here. So good to be on. I really appreciate it.
And it's really starting to unwind at an accelerating pace. And it's starting to, like I said, showing itself more often. We're starting to see these currencies going back to asset-backed digital currencies, countries ditching the dollar. But then I think today we're going to talk about kind of the mainstream media, how they've kept the masses distracted from the real developments, partnerships, agreements that are already taking place in this infrastructure for a fourth industrial revolution that's getting built out. And they distract us with the media, right? But then they also push us through a recession, a bear market. Cryptocurrency's been absolutely destroyed and smacked, and it's the end. It's the end of the fun times for some in the cryptocurrency space who weren't building real utility, who weren't building real infrastructure, bringing real value, solving big problems. And like I said, I do consider you to be one of the best researchers in the game. And so without further ado, I want to let you run it up once again. And we had incredible feedback. I just want to say thank you for everyone tuning in here once again today. If you can do us a favor, all we ask is that you share this content far and wide, okay? Smash that thumbs up for us. Share this content. Let's get right on into it, brother. Take it away.
Exactly. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. And and like he said, because the mainstream media doesn't talk about this stuff. If we don't share this, it's going to get buried. And so that's the point, is have these conversations, because what I'm about to break down is about digital economies and the transformation, how economies, like full economies, Canada, America, the United Kingdom. And I'm just getting my sharing screen here going. One sec. Why is it not loading here? And important for us to get this out there and have these conversations, because it is buried, it is deflected, and they don't want this out there, and that there's a reason behind this, and I'm going to show the reasonings. So where is the share? One sec, my toolbar just isn't loading on Zoom here.
By the way, if you're tuning in on TikTok right now, the link's in the bio, guys. This is happening on YouTube. Come check it out on YouTube, because he's about to share full screen. We're going to go through all the connections, and he's going to be sharing a lot of great content and research here with us today.
Yeah, here we go. So
can you full screen, brother?
See my
show
screen?
Is yours.
Okay, welcome, citizens. Now let me just give you a quick breakdown of what you're about to see. This is Figma, a program I use to map out things, to show you guys, to break things down with you guys. As you can see, this map is a very big map, and what this is if you picture all your favorite news, or maybe movie clips, and you had it all on one board, well, this is it. This is mine, and this is what I'm going to teach you guys with. So, for example, let's start things off by talking about just the mainstream media, the cancer of society, and why I say this and why I have such a peeve against mainstream media is a little personal story about me. I'm a researcher. I've been following the fourth industrial revolution since 2018. And my grandpa was one of the guys who raised me. My father was a crackhead, and my grandpa was the man of the house. He stepped up and took my father's place. And his retirement hobby was watching the news. That was his passion, watching CNN, watching the American news. We're Canadians, and he said the Canadian news is garbage. And that's what he got his joy from. But the best thing about it is our relationship. He'd break down what they were doing and what they were saying in their narrative. And then here I am digging in the depths of the internet, finding what was really going on and how they're deflecting it. And as this went on, I realized as I grew older, I realized, wow, there's a big disconnect from what's really happening. So right here, the mainstream news media is meant to make one feel insecure and in the past. It puts sad perspectives into people's minds and creates a toxic culture to divide the population, because a divided population, we're too busy fighting each other to look at the people who control the system that controls us. And that's a deep truth, because I seen what COVID did to my grandfather's mental health. The last 2 years, he passed last December. And that's what drives me to spread awareness of this stuff, is because I seen how they messed with his mind by feeding in negative. There's no will to live, and how that changed him as a man. So just a quick perspective here is the mainstream media is owned by the Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderberg Meeting, and the Trilateral Commission. When an event happens, they put out the perspective to the mainstream media, and then that projects it to the televisions, which then the mainstream followers, the surface dwellers, the ones that take the television news as their opinion, they get, fear, biased views, they get hate against the unvaxxed, loss of hope, anxiety, no personal growth. And what I'm about to break down is the world is going digital. There's digital economy agreements, the digital transformation of the supply chain, documents, and global trade, tokenization of assets with blockchain and DLT, central bank digital currencies, and the Internet of Things and the IIoT. So today, I think since 2022 has been such a big year, heavy year, we've seen so much stuff go on. And the mainstream media is now painting crypto as crap, garbage. FTX blew up, but they don't mention Ethereum free pass. They don't mention the real stuff. And well, I'm going to mention the real stuff, and I'm going to show the documents that showcase all this stuff. But where we're heading is an automated global supply chain, an automated flow of value through tokenized assets. And so I think the best thing to start off is there is a digital economy agreement happening with the United Kingdom and Singapore. And not a lot of people know this, but here I created this visual. And what this means is the UK economy is moving digital. So I'm from Canada and I follow the UK because the UK is the leaders of the globe. They create English law, and 40% of the world uses English law for global trade.
And City of London is the financial capital of the world.
Exactly, the City of London Corporation. It's really weird when, yeah, good call. 1 sec here.
It's the financial arm of this entity that we're up against, right? The political military wing is in DC, the financial arm in City of London, and then of course we have the Vatican operation as well.
Yeah, great. Just 1 sec. I'm pulling up a thing because it's really funny that you pulled up the City of London. 1 sec. I just got to find it on my profile here. Sorry for that.
Thank you for tuning in today, guys. By the way, we're just getting this session rolling, so you're not late. We're just getting into it. We're just getting it rolling.
So, for example, the City of London. This is from a YouTube video that I found that had 99 views. Comments turned off. Why not? When it's about the future of digital services trade, September 2022, driving trade in digital for recovery and inclusive growth. This is with the G7, HSBC, the City of London, UK, right there. The big heavy hitters. And what they're talking about in there is exactly what I'm about to break down, the digital economy agreements. And if we go to their video, let's see how many views it's got now.
update of
This
those, and
one's,
we need to kind of sort that
oh wow, 188 views.
regime and
Lots.
work with
So how they cover it up is one sec, just exit that off.
And that's where the
keeping
saying hidden in plain sight comes in right there, right? 100
Exactly.
views, but it's for all to
100
see.
100 views, and then think about this. We got YouTube videos, we got YouTube street influencers that talk about crap coins and they have millions of views. They're pumping and shilling crap coins and they get millions of views. And yet the stuff about the real digital economy and how this we're transforming is just getting shoved under the rug. So I'm going to introduce you guys to the digital economy agreement between the UK and Singapore. And these are some of the key players building the grid. So this is for Genfinity Lighthouse Report. They create every month. There's a group of 10, 12 researchers. We all write a section. Mine is called the grid, the entities of the grid. So if you picture the world as an electrical system, the finances, the flow of money, that is a part of the electrical system of the global financial system. So I've been a master electrician for 10 years. And so automation, system automation, I know process flow. And well, this is my gift to you guys, is to look at the world as the financial system as an electrical grid. The value moves as electricity moves across the grid. These are the entities a part of it. You got the G7, the G20, the World Bank Group, Financial Conduct Authority, the OECD, the IPCSA, the World Trade Organization, the World Customs Organization. You got the World Economic Forum, a forum for all these standard setting bodies to go talk about regulating our system. Then you got all the shit coins right here. You see all the shit coins? Well, guess what? The shitcoin casino will not last forever. We had in our last discussion with Zach, we were talking about regulations, the shitcoin shutdown. That's what we're witnessing right now. They're gonna push crypto to all-time lows. So every weak-hand person that doesn't know what they're holding, they sell their bags, they lose all faith. And then guess what? The bankers come in. The regulations come in that gives the green light to the specific cryptos, and then banks can start moving their value into the tokenized trading platforms.
And look how big they let this thing get. They let the market cap of the cryptocurrency space reach 3 trillion, which is a drop in the bucket of where this is heading. But yeah. I mean, look at 90% of that value was just in fluff and not real utility, not real value that was going to last. But they let it go. And they're letting these shit coins operate, like you said, and then they let the Wall Street boys and girls make their bucks, like Kevin O'Leary shilling FTX to everybody like he's the second coming of Christ.
Exactly. So, and the important thing in this visual, 99% of influencers don't talk about the monetary system. They don't talk about what's going to last in 5 years. They don't care because they're getting paid to shill these crap coins, to take innocent people's money, and when regulations come, it's just going to dry up, evaporate, and there you go. You just lost 99% of your value because you just believe some crap influencers. So it's about doing research. It's about being due diligent. Don't just buy because somebody says buy something. Start researching, start digging. Use the information that I give you to dig. I've created lots of educational content that somebody can dig in for themselves to make their own opinion. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Zach just because we are who we are and we're sharing research. It's about backing up your opinion and always double checking. So like, for example, here, we got the Law Commission, you got a NATBA, you got the International Chamber of Commerce. And one of the webinars of the ICC was literally resetting the global economy. They're talking about, these standard setting bodies are talking about resetting the global economy. Well, how are they going to reset the global economy? Digital trade. Right now, this whole ecosystem that we are on of the globe relies on paper. This paper that it relies on is slow, expensive, and it's time consuming. They say it's more expensive to move a container, like it's more expensive to use paper than to move a container full of supplies from China to Canada just by using paper. They say paper for invoicing in global trade is 20% of all shipping costs in global trade. So if you switch from paper as the norm to a digital document, you would automatically save at least 20% on shipping prices across the globe.
Hey, Citizen, it's
Just,
interesting you bring that up
yeah,
too, because I just shared in my last live stream the
yeah,
airline fiasco that just occurred at Southwest
yeah,
was because they
yeah.
were literally relying on phone calls to dispatch 20,000 different, employees and flights and all of their assets within their company is
Oh my
decades
God.
old communications technology where they're literally relying on somebody to pick up the phone and make a phone call. And that's where the whole fiasco just happened for everyone to see a most recent
Yeah,
example of how distributed ledger technology can come in and fix these issues.
exactly. Now let me show you guys some visuals to back this up. So in the Queen's speech of 2022, they stated that in global trade, there is 28.5 billion trade documents a year. 28.5 billion. I did that as an equation. If you stack that paper all on top of each other, that would equal 39,000 statues of liberty tall of paper. 39,000 statues of liberty. I've never seen the Statue of Liberty yet, but if I seen 39,000 of them, I think that'd be pretty shocking. And then also when you think about this paper, it has to be manually entered into the system at least once. So 60 to 70% of that has to get entered. So that is now you got somebody typing it in. There's mistakes that are being made. Yeah, and then this is the flow of documentation. So in trade finance, there's lots of difference. There's insurance companies, banks, exporters, blah, 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 customs, and they all require the original copy to be signed and shipped out. So you actually have to mail the signed documentation from the bank to the other bank, to the exporter, to the insurance company, and that's paper. That's time. That's literally going in a van, getting shipped in an airplane all the way to the other side of the world. There's copies. There can be up to 130 copies of the documentation for one shipment from China to Canada. And that's all in paper. That's all time consuming. So what this digital economy is doing is digitalizing the documentation. It's digitalizing the value flow. And right here, the G7 and G20, and I've got lots of documents that I'm going to break down about the digital economies. Like, for example, Canada's a part of now Canada's request to join the digital economy, a partnership agreement. Got lots of stuff that I'm going to cover just quickly today, just to show you guys this is real. This is happening. And for example, here's a cool link. I was doing my deep research and I found a document from 2012, 10 years ago, that the ICC was working on the digital economy. And here in 2022, they just approved the infrastructure that in the UK's House of Lords to move forward with this digital economy agreement with other countries for digital trade between these countries. So very, very, I just want to wake up as many people as I can, because the mainstream media isn't covering this. They're shoving this under the rug, but every citizen should know we are at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution. I say that as many times as I can. You can see right here, regulated news about digital trade, the future of trade. This is Singapore, regionalism, multilateralism, and the new trade order. So how countries around the globe are being able to move value between other economies frictionlessly, no time constraints. Get ready to go digital from the ICC. Commercial trade documents are going digital. Bills of lading, bills of exchange, marine insurance documents. And yeah, so it's a turning point.
Well, and to add to that, geopolitically, the G7 countries, the Western countries, have the most to lose in as far as currency reset and rolling over to a new system that their antiquated technology becomes irrelevant in. They have the most to lose, but they're not just sitting back. They are actually rolling this out and building this, but they're keeping the citizens in the dark. Like you said, we're distracted with meme coins, Sam Bankman-Fried. They're having the private meetings and making sure that they're going to be able to keep some power. I think that they understand that the banking system will be consolidated and a lot of the power will be consolidated, but they want to make sure that they are making it out on the other side of that. So they keep
Yeah.
the citizens in the dark. They sue Ripple while they
Yeah.
have these private meetings, private discussions, and agreements to roll
Totally.
out this new system. We get to
Yeah.
see it more visually out in the open in the BRICS nations and the others that are moving so much faster, and that's because they're at the point of an absolute need to move to a new system. They're
Yeah.
having multiple crises within their countries. So just from a geopolitical standpoint, that's why we're getting kept in the dark as citizens of the West. And it
Yeah.
may appear like the West is behind, but I think that they are working on some big things behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all need to remember, all of us citizens, it's us versus the 1%, the banking families, the ones that have taken advantage of this monetary system for hundreds of years. For we'll go into that history after, but it's because the wealthy own the mainstream media and they don't want competition. They don't want us citizens smart. They just want us to be gears in their system that are just pumping out workers. Why doesn't the school system teach about the financial system? Why doesn't it teach about interest? Why doesn't it teach about debt? Why doesn't it teach about the important stuff? But now we're seeing that our school system is confusing kids at a young age and just pumping out cookie cutter material. It's not teaching deep think outside the box. It's just do what you're told. Don't pair up with people. Just stay divided. Stay 6 feet apart. But so now let's go forward. I'm just gonna read this snippet here because I wrote this. It took me about 25 hours to write this article. When I write these, it takes a lot of time to think, okay, how am I going to pitch this to a normal person to find this interesting? But here we go. For the last few years, our global society has gone through hell with the coronavirus pandemic. This has caused a massive tectonic shift in technology, which has sped up the push for digitalization and automation within many industries, including global trade. Standard-setting bodies and consortiums of the global monetary system are shifting from analog paper processes to a digital means of transporting value and data. The world's leading economies have recognized this change and have started collaborating closer on digital policy issues in order to grow their digital businesses more effectively. A perfect example would be the UK Digital Economy Agreement with Singapore, which is going to modernize digital trading rules for the benefits of goods, services, and exporters between both countries. And I expect this agreement to increase both countries' ability to develop innovative technologies and services, as both countries will be able to speak the same language when it comes to legislation and trade, data protection laws, and policies around topics such as privacy, security, data ownership.
So it's so much more than just ISO 222 messaging standard. People need to understand
100%.
that, right? This
Yes,
is, like you said, this
so
is
much
a
more.
standard language for every aspect of trade and business.
Yes, this is the legislation. So this digital economy stuff is the legislation that will put forward the rules of the system, basically. In one sec here, as we get into this, right? So here's the ISO 222 messaging is just a format for these messages to send back and forth. So that is just the infrastructure rail. Now, the digital economy is much more like data, like the privacy laws, the actual, how is the data being used? Who is able to use the data? Who has access to it? It's, this is from the ICMA, so the International Capital Markets Association. And this is just a viewpoint of, one sec here, I just got to do this, show hide. There we go. So this is just a viewpoint. So ISO 222, so when we say, XRP is an ISO 222, it's Ripple creating the processes for XRP to be able to transport one of these messages. It's not the crypto token itself. It is just a messaging format that the crypto token can guarantee that can be compliant with, used with. So as we get back to this message here, so some topics covered in the agreement are electronic records, electronic payments, cybersecurity, digital identity systems. These digital identity systems are like legal entity identifier, which is called LEI. This is it right here. For example, this is a legal entity identifier, this weird number. And what's happening in global trade is KYC and AML, which is know your customer, and anti-money laundering, is a very expensive process because banks, it costs banks like billions of dollars a year for this AML and KYC, because they have to make sure that whoever's sending the money is who they are, and it's not money laundering, etc. And so this identity thing, it costs them a lot of money to investigate transactions and all this. But what's happening now is in global trade, these real entities like Coke, this is, for example, I created this. This was a Coca-Cola example. They have an LEI. And then on the LEI, when you look them up on the Coca-Cola LEI, it shows who their other companies are. So there's Minute Maid. This is the Minute Maid LEI. So when you're in trade, so say if I was buying a bunch of, say I had a Coke factory, or I wanted to buy a bunch of Coke for my business, well, you would know that you're dealing with the real Coca-Cola. It's not some person saying they're Coca-Cola, because this is the real legal identity. And there's a legal entity identifier register, which is an open source database that shows any company that has an LEI. So then you know that, hey, if I'm dealing with, Costa Coffee, this is their LEI, and that's who I'm dealing with. I am dealing with the real one. So the LEI is backed by the Financial Stability Board and the G20. So this is going to be moving forward at a very exponential rate. There's a lot of value and this is like the regulated side of the supply chain, right? Like you can't make money off the LEI. It's just showing that this is the digital identity system that they're bringing in to remove fraud from global trade. Because now when you're doing trade, say if I did 100 trades with these guys, it's now all recorded on a ledger for who you're trading with, and to make sure that, hey, if they ripped you off, you know who ripped you off. It's not just like a fake Coca-Cola. So that's welcome to Legal Entity Identifier 2022. You guys just learned about the Legal Entity Identifier and how trade is moving to digital ID. So the other things are the future technologies like AI, fintech, and law tech are also discussed. One unique aspect of the Digital Economy Agreement is the implementation of UNCITRAL MLETR, Model Law for Electronic Transferable Records, which updates the Bills of Exchange Act of 1882 to allow trade jurisdictions to validate electronic transferable records. So what that means is, it's a lot. So right now in global trade, in order for documentation to be valid, it needs to be signed with wet ink. So it needs to literally be hand signed. There is no validity to digital documents in global trade. So right now in global trade, only 1% of documentation in the whole globe, of the whole system of the grid, only 1% of it is digital documents. 99% of it is still paper. This is why I'm saying we are at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution, because the legislation that validates digital documents, which is UNCITRAL MLETR, which I will show a visual here, just one sec, that I created to teach. I say a picture could teach 1,000 words. And right here, I present you guys something that the mainstream media does not want you all to see, is to understand what a digital economy agreement is. So this UK, Singapore agreed to adopt a global common framework to digitalize trade finance and supply chain documents to allow automation with electronic transferable records. So with these digital economy agreements, they also agree on the format of the digital documentation for global trade. The UNCITRAL, which is the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. The United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. This is the standard setting body for law in global trade right here. They created MLETR, Model Law for Electronic Transferable Records. I'm saying this as many times as I can to try and ingrain it to whoever's reading this, that it is real. And the ISO 222 is the format for the message. The MLETR is the framework to validate for legislation for governments to adopt that piece of legislation so they can move digital documents in their trade region. So now the UK right here, this is a snippet from the G7. and I'm going to get into the G7. Geez, there's so much information. They have a collaboration on electronic transferable records. So I just brought you guys to the top. Who is the G7? The G7, well, let me pull up that piece here. Just one sec. Where is that? There's so many things. Just wait, where did it go? Digital economy. Oh, I guess it's in here.
Hey, folks, thanks
Yeah.
for sharing this message out there. Thanks for smashing that thumbs up. We've surpassed 500 in the chat. So thanks for letting us
Nice.
run it up. And we're just getting into it, guys. This is just
Yeah.
getting started. And Citizen, you just shared this. I had no idea about that legal entity identity. That was completely
legal
new to me.
entity identifier. Yeah, legal entity yeah, it's crazy, man. And these are the rabbit holes that I get into, and I'm like, why isn't mainstream media talking about this stuff? You know, like the citizens should know about this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, just get pushed to shut, push this up. What is the G7? Since we're talking about the G7, I just want to find the piece of content that I had aside for the G7 here. Right here, just one sec. Sorry, citizens. You gotta wait a minute. Right here. So what is the G7? The G7 is the leading forum where democratic powers discuss and try to solve global problems. The G7 was created in the wake of the 1973 OPEC oil crisis. Right here. The G7 leaders, you know, you got clown, you got a drama teacher right here. This is a drama teacher. That's my, I don't have high words for our prime minister. France, you know, you got Germany, you got Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, United States. So you got the highest powers of the world. That's what the G7 is.
They
And
took such a cute photo op. Where was that? Was that in Brussels? I forget where that meeting was.
oh,
The last
I
G7. That
know.
was so cute of them.
Oh man, dude, yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah, right on the beach, and there's all the sand. Let's see. So I broke that stuff down. I broke this down in our last interview. So if you want to read about that, that's in there. But here I created a video there, which was economy digitalization, CBDCs, and the plans for regulating crypto and stable coins, May 2022. And the crazy thing is, with this such powerful information, YouTube just buried the video. Like, it's got, I think, maybe 2,000 views, and it's talking about how the mainstream media literally shoved the economy digitalization right under the rug. So it's really sad to see. And just one sec here. Where is the other piece of content? It seems like sometimes browsers get closed or something. Like, I just had it all out before we had on here. But anyways, these digital economy agreements, moving digital documents, not paper documents anymore. People, we need to realize paper is expensive. They talk about carbon problems, but they ignore the paper in the global supply chain. Like, how funny is that? Because let me pull this up right here. Regulated markets, here we go. So here we go. So right here, this was from a G7, creating a modern digital trade ecosystem. Now let me take you to the top again. Cutting the cost and complexity of trade, reforming laws and harmonizing legal frameworks. From the ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce. And if you don't know how big the International Chamber of Commerce is, then let me show you, because they are one of the biggest standard setters that everyone should be aware of, yet nobody talks about them. Right here. We represent 45 million companies, 1 billion employees, 100+ countries. We are the voice of business at intergovernmental level. The International Chamber of Commerce, folks. And they're working on Chambers 4.0, transforming disruption into opportunity for global business. These are the ones that you want to follow. Is the world's largest business organization with a network of over 6 million members in more than 100 countries. We work to promote international trade, responsible business conduct, and a global approach to regulation through a unique mix of advocacy and standard-setting activities. Together with market-leading disruption resolution services, our members may include many of the world's largest companies, SMEs, business associations, and local chambers of commerce. We make business work for everyone, every day, everywhere. Now let's get right there. Just the way I gotta show you guys.
And this Citizen, real quick, folks.
Go on, yeah.
When I say that every single business sector is about to get disrupted, this is what we're talking about. Now, for every single use case problem to solve, do you need distributed ledger technology? Do you need crypto? Well, maybe not, but this is what we're talking about is the real players, these folks understand the disruption that's underway. They're seeing it as an opportunity for themselves. We need to find that same opportunity for ourselves in the businesses that we're operating in and in the protocols that we're investing in.
Exactly. And it's about, like, for example, in the trade finance industry, what's the problem with the global, like when we stand back and we look at the global trade system, the problems are paper is slow and expensive. Also trust is a huge problem. You can't trust who you're trading with. You can't trust who you're purchasing things with. There's false records. There's so many problems. But what blockchain and DLT is bringing to the trade industry is a trustless system. You could trade with someone and know you can know that you're protected with basically a ledger of all transactions. You know that that when you send that money, that it's there in 4 seconds. It's not taking 20 days to settle a transaction. It's a trust layer, and there's so much more. But the mindset. So this is the mindset of how big of this transformation that I'm telling you guys about is SMEs, small, medium enterprises. That's us. That's us citizens that have businesses that are trying to get ahead. We're not talking about the huge corporates. We're talking about the small, medium enterprises. They represent about 90% of business and more than 50% of employment worldwide. Small, medium enterprises are major sources of public revenue for governments and up to 40% of GDP in emerging economies. Governments provide public services to enable trade and make it more efficient. So this is what they're transforming. And now let me get into the document that's going to break down, and you guys are all going to be like, holy shit, how is this not being echoed in the mainstream media? Right here. So I broke this thread down actually in just over a year ago. I broke this all down in thread format saying, wake up citizens, there's a transformation going on. I'm still doing it. Even though my assets are down, I'm down over $100,000 in some of my entries. It's still happening. It's just, we got to ride the wave. It's a roller coaster. Current trade growth forecast suggests the goods will be very flat across the G7 to 2026. Digitalizing the trade ecosystem could increase trade across the G7 by nearly $9 trillion, or nearly 43% on 2019 values by 2026. The average growth in trade from digitalization across borders is nearly 8% above forecast. Paperless trade facilitation could create 267 billion of additional exports compared to base forecast by 2026. But digitalizing the trade ecosystem could create as much as 6 trillion in extra exports by 2026. Paperless trade facilitation could reduce costs as a share of the total trade across the G7 by 76%. 76% of trade across the biggest nations could be saved by paperless trade. That's nuts. A fully digitalized trade ecosystem will result in an average of 84% reduction in trade costs across the G7 by 2026. Using electronic transferable records, ETRs, electronic transferable records across the G7 countries could enable global trade to increase by 40%. Digitalization will reduce bureaucracy by reducing time spent on cross-border trade by 81% across the G7, cutting the number of days associated with border compliance from an average of 25 days to less than 1 day. like I hope you guys can absorb how important this is and what a turning point we are. But I bet you not even 1% of the people know we're in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution. Why? Because the mainstream media talks about COVID-19, talks about stuff that's irrelevant. When was the last time anyone listening to this, knows somebody that got rich by watching the news? I don't know anyone. I've never heard of anyone.
I'm pretty sure Jim Cramer's portfolio is down like 60% year to date or something like that.
Yeah. We get Jim, us citizens get Jim Cramer for financial advice. Are you serious? Are you serious?
And his portfolio is like one of the worst performers this last year. Literally, I think it was 60% down. But and to add context there to what you're saying, folks, even the folks that understand crypto and are having this conversation, and we're figuring out, all of the old systems and money that's coming on to distributed ledger technology is going to be massive, right? Swift settles $6 trillion daily. Like, we're all bringing out our calculators, trying to do our little calculations, but it's bigger than that. This is unlocking so much value that is just lost within an old, antiquated system.
Yep.
This is not just bringing the old money on, it's expanding the existing value of the economy, of the world GDP.
And why do you think the bankers hate crypto? Why do you think where do the fees go? The fees that we pay every transaction. Say I want to send $100 to Japan to a friend or somebody in a third world country. It costs me $50 to send a bank wire transfer that takes 5 to 7 days to get there. And I just paid $50. I paid, half of what I wanted to send for one transaction. Those fees enrich the bankers, enrich the 1% families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the ones that were here at the beginning of the system, that took advantage of the system, and they want the fees. The fees gives banks annually billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in revenue. So of course, they're not going to talk about this. Of course, they're not going to want citizens to wake up to this transformation, because this transformation is cutting out the fees that gives them revenue. So let's just finish off this piece. I'm just going to read this piece because this is a big, heavy. I'm going to give you guys a left hook by reading this. The ICC is calling on national governments to create a modern digital trade ecosystem by reforming laws to digitize trade documentation and align legal frameworks to the UNCITRAL model law and electronic transferable records. This supports the G7 framework for collaboration on electronic transferable records, called to do the work of UNCITRAL in promoting MLETR. The framework agreement on facilitation of cross-border paperless trade in Asia and the Pacific of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, UNSCAP. It also supports the ambition of the Commonwealth connectivity agenda to increase intra-Commonwealth trade to 2 trillion by 2030. A modern digital trade ecosystem fit for the 21st century requires national laws to recognize all trade documents in digital form and legal systems to be aligned to enable digital information to move seamlessly across borders and between stakeholders, buyers, sellers, financiers, insurers, shippers, logistics, and customs. While great progress is being made to digitize trade facilitation and customs documents, most jurisdictions around the world still require documents that transfer the possession of goods, transferable records, to be presented in paper form. Examples of such documents in international trade include bills of exchange, bills of lading, promissory notes, warehouse receipts. The digital trading system currently operates on antiquated systems and laws, in some cases dating back centuries. A typical trade transaction involves up to 27 documents, 9 of which related to the transfer of possession, and can cost $80,000 per transaction and take up to 2 to 3 months to process. In total, 4 billion documents move across the trade ecosystem at any given time, creating inefficiencies that slow trade down and hamper growth and innovation. Through undertaking necessary legislative reform, we can create an enabling legal environment for paperless trade that will enhance SME participation in trade and underpin the economic recovery. This is
key right there. What you just mentioned is they are understanding that this is going to allow them to come out of the issues that we just had. And and it's interesting because recently we were just going and listening to basically it was a systemic committee at the FDIC that was talking about the risk within the United States banking system. And they're talking about how 2020 was a good test for what is to come. They don't know exactly when it's going to be, but it's going, you know, another situation is going to come. And in these documents, even from the G7, they're talking about this as an opportunity. And so I just want to keep reiterating that point. They see it as an opportunity for themselves. We need to make it one for us as well.
Yeah, we need to follow the top. And now, for example, the digital economy is about data, digital data. We need to start looking at the world in a digital data format. That's what I could tell you guys is look at everything as data. You know, what does a person watch? What does a person do? You know, sports, there's a digital version of data. There's a digital version of everything that we can think of. And the next thing is they're going to start digitalizing our currencies, you know, CBDCs. And there's nothing we can do about it. Like us, since the population is so divided, you know, the only way they can make this digital change, and I've thought about this, is what a perfect timing for COVID-19, for this pandemic, because in order for, like, if you would have brought, you know, hey, our economies are moving digital, we're moving our finances digital, you know, there'd be an uprising from the citizens. The citizens would be like, hell no, you know, if we were all in good times, they'd be like, hell no, there'd be mobs, blah, blah, blah. But this COVID, this divided the populations. They said, you know, don't hang around with people that are unvaccinated. They made the unvaccinated, or the vaccinated hate the unvaccinated. Yeah, go on.
Let's just we call it the hokey pokey dance here. Those that have done the hokey pokey dance, and
yeah. Anyways, for example, right here on my screen is the keywords. If you go to any mainstream media news network, try this. Search up CBDC, search up G7. This should be a priority of reporters to say, hey, they're coming out with digital currencies, right? Like here, why does the mainstream media hide the real news from the citizens? Do they just like dividing us and keeping us stupid? I find it awkward that I, a citizen of the future, is bringing up the documents that the reporters and the news should be bringing up. Public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies from the G7, talking about the digitalization. Here's CNN. Search CNN for CBDC and G7, zero. I searched central bank digital currency, I got once. CNN once spoke about a central bank digital currency. Here's Canada, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is our federal news network, and nothing on CBDCs, nothing on the G7. Completely just, they ignore it. Why would you ignore the documents that I'm about to go into? So for example, let's see, right here. See what this is. The Digital Economy Partnership Agreement was born out of the common interest of Chile, New Zealand, and Singapore to harness the potential of the digital economy to target smaller economies and provide more opportunities to include more people. Canada announces request to join the Digital Economy Partnership Agreement. So fellow Canadians, here we go. Why isn't our mainstream media talking about this? Why is it getting pushed under the rug? Come on. Like, we should all know, hey, we're going to a digital economy. That's huge. Welcome to the fourth industrial revolution. Announces request to join, but it gets shoved right under the rug. What else? Let's see here. There is, so this all goes off of right now, Bills of Exchange Act of 1882, something that hasn't been updated in 140 plus years. It's being updated in 2023. The UK is the first to initiate that upgrade with their electronic transferable records bill. And yeah, so that's welcome to the fourth industrial revolution. Let's see here. So there's a couple things that we can do here. Let's It's up to the citizens what they want. I can either skim through G7 CBDC document, which mainstream media neglects, or we can cover, just one sec. So there was this document right here. This was from the IMF. Everyone should check out this. This was a good read. But I asked this question. I was like, when do you think the IMF will shift their, this was in August, will shift their digital marketing to building or utilizing a central bank digital currency, 2025, 2027, or 2030? And this, at that moment in time, I did a Google search, and this was the views of the IMF. Behind the scenes of a central bank digital currency, behind new economy forum, central bank digital currencies, cross-border payments, a vision of the future. So that asked me to ask that question. And then in September, well, I found my answers. In September, they asked that. They answered that for me. Just one sec. I just got to go back here. It's crazy stuff, man. Is people still liking this? Like, am I still relevant?
You're still on, brother. We're running it up. We got over 600 in the chat with us. Folks, please do us a favor. Smash that thumbs up. Spread this message. We're going to be rolling for a bit longer, too. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, let's see, 1205. Okay, sounds good. So right here, this is the IMF's recent paper in September 2022, The Money Revolution, Crypto, CBDCs, and the Future of Finance. And then I took I created this visual out of snippets just to show, like, we are entering a new era, a foundation of trust. Central banks should harness crypto's technical wizardry to enable a rich monetary ecosystem. More than half the world's central banks are exploring or developing digital currencies, the ascent of CBDCs, gaining currency. So it just shows how fast we are now scaling up to 100 different central banks working on it, man. Regulating crypto, the right rules could provide a safe space for innovation, a new era for money. And then, of course, they had the train leaving the station. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Because I remember Rosie Rios last year. She's like, XRP's primary purpose is facilitating cross-border payments while other cryptos find their value in speculation. China's latest move brings this point home. But it's crazy because, Rosie Rios is always like, the train is leaving the station. And then the IMF in this document creates a train leaving the station. What are the odds? I don't believe in coincidences, but I do.
Well, and to go further, like we said earlier, hidden in plain sight, these people, now, I'm not talking specifically about Rosie Rios here. I think Rosie's nice and we love Rosie, but these people operate from a standpoint of they get off on showing us what they're about to do before they do it, while keeping us distracted and out of the loop. Yeah,
100%. And if anybody listening to this, you guys should make sure you've read and understood this document from the IMF that was released in February of 2022, called Blockchain Consensus Mechanisms, a Primer for Supervisors. I created a 40-minute breakdown and a full thread breaking down this document, but it compares the consensus mechanisms of different blockchains. It compares Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Stellar, and the IMF's views when they posted this, they were attacking Bitcoin, they're attacking Ethereum's proof of stake, the one that they just switched to, because it enriches the 1%, just like our current monetary system. The proof of stake of the big bag holders, they eat the fees. The fees go to the rich guys. So that's a good video / thread that everyone should get into, because a lot of important information in on that one. And then the other thing was, there was another cool thing that I just thought of. Proof of work. Yeah, so one sec, just pulling it up here. User proof of work. Okay, here it is. So it was funny because I wrote a thread about this back in the beginning of the year, where it was just right after that they had that IMF document that was basically bashing proof of work. And then this came out from the, who is it? My pronunciation sucks for these guys. Just one sec, bear with me. The Finansin Spection. It's basically like Finland's standard setting body for the financial system. But back in February 2023 or February 23rd, they came out with this paper that was talking about banning proof of work and how the wasted energy should be shunned upon by global standard setters. And it's just funny enough to think that, you know, since they produced this and the IMF talked about the proof of work, you know, and then you see Bill Gates was like, oh, you guys should get your money out of crypto, blah, blah, blah. Well, ever since now here we are, we're just in this goddamn bear market again. But yeah, so here you go. Crypto assets are a threat to the climate transition. Energy intensive mining should be banned. So, you know, they're attacking the energy intensive miners. So carbon neutral is the way forward. You know, carbon net neutral networks are the way forward. So make sure you guys, if you guys support Bitcoin, that you support the renewable energy Bitcoin, not the wasteful energy where you know, I've worked in oil and gas projects, and it's a great way for, you know, excess flare. You got extra gas, you can burn that to then create power to get income from something that was just getting wasted. So there is a good side to Bitcoin on that side of things, but there is a bad side of Bitcoin when it comes to the public's perspective of energy wasting. And even in British Columbia, where I live, British Columbia banning BTC mining. So right here, they just they're suspending new cryptocurrency mining. So all these big BTC miners, there's like I think 7 of them in Canada. Well, in BC, they're not giving them power for their grid, so they're disconnecting them for 18 months. And this was literally just weeks ago. It's going to start scaling across the country, and it's just going to get worse. So citizens, be ready for the storm that is to come, because what they're going to do is they're going to create an all-time low for these banks to get in for the real utility cryptos, because they don't buy at normal people prices. We're just lucky we're that early to be a part of this all. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to ask the people, do you guys want me to keep going? Are you guys tired of me yet? Or
Yeah, let's folks drop your comments, questions down below. I'm watching the comments right now, so I'll make sure we get those questions asked. And I think that the information you're sharing here puts it together really clear for everyone to see and understand. We're gonna share links on down below too once this session's done and further research can be done. But one thing I did want to say, what is your comments on some of these groups have come out and they said that they're delaying for another year or so, or no, sorry, like Bank of England just said that they're going to delay ISO migration until like June or July, I believe. So what's your opinion on some of these groups saying that the timeline's delayed once again further? For me, I'm just telling people to remain patient. And as you showed in some of the other documents there, by 2025, this thing's really going to be underway. And by 2030, we will probably be fully rolled on over.
Yeah. Like everyone needs to, you know, back, I always say this, back in 2018, when I first was getting into XRP and these utility cryptos, you know, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time we're in 2022. And well, here we are. I didn't realize how slow the monetary system was. I didn't realize how big the monetary system was. Back in 2018, you know, I was just getting the swing of things. And then now the research has shown me that this system, the governments move slow as heck. It's time consuming. There's, you know, standard setting bodies across the globe have these forums. They have these dialogues, and it's slow. We can't expect this to be a get rich scheme, because it's not. It's literally a transformation of the global system at one of the biggest things to ever hit society as a whole, because it removes the cost, it removes the slow transfer times, etc. And here's for example, I can't share the link because this was in a private group, like a Swift group. I got into a Swift group, but here they are. I don't think they're delaying it. ISO 222 community readiness deck, and they're still, they said they're delaying it, but they're still going live. They're still pushing it. Like
well, and I remind everyone too that Swift said members could opt in back in August of this year. So while Bank of England and some of these other banks, entities are delaying, we have Swift members have already started to opt in.
Yeah, and and all it is banks just, once they got the system, like they can send and receive these messages. Well, then they can participate in any other messaging with another bank. Like it's not like the whole banking system is going to go live at one point. No, they're already testing it. They're already getting small people here and there, like preparing for live development. Like, and it's crazy that they've been working on this for like 15, 20 years, man. Like, but there wasn't very much value. It's just really like deep banking stuff in this document. It's talking about like the old bank messaging system and what the process flows look like. Consequences of not acting for readiness, blah, blah, blah. Like there wasn't really anything crypto related or anything super special in this, but time to upgrade, blah, blah, blah. You guys can pause it on the screen if you guys want to read it, but there was really nothing. Rich data, that's all it is. The current data messaging, like when you send a bank wire transfer, you can just get like a sentence in the comments. But when you're talking about an ISO 222 payment, you can attach a PDF. You can attach way more information that gets saved and separates from the payment. Yeah, so that was just a cool thing that I thought I could share. And
now I got some questions and comments down here that I'm reading right now. So continue to drop the questions, guys, and we'll try to answer some few here. I see someone asked, what do you think is going to be used for payments? Is it going to be just a series of CBDCs? And then we're going to have some privately issued stable coins and currencies in circulation. What do you think the future of CBDCs actually looks like?
Yeah, so I think, we're always going to have cash. I think we're always going to have cash. You can't phase cash from the people because that's been a barter system for all society. CBDCs, they're going to regulate the stable coins. They're going to regulate the centralized exchanges. And when they regulate the centralized exchanges, all these shit exchanges, these small little crap ones are going to go bust. And then it's just going to be like big ones like Kraken, maybe Binance comes around and they get the license, like the real licensing and stuff like that. And then it's just like only the tokens that have passed the standardization from the standard setters will be listed on these exchanges. So that's why I always say stay away from the crap coins, because once these regulations come into play, whatever doesn't meet their puzzle won't fit into the puzzle. You won't be able to get your money out. The other ones, so CBDCs, I think there'll be I think XRP is going to be used for payments as well. You got the private side of the federated side chains for the CBDCs, for the banks. You got, and then you're getting the liquidity from public markets, right? Like, I think that's where once the world really starts waking up and then the money starts moving, these ecosystems with real world utility will start bringing in a lot of liquidity that will be accessible and usable for, a liquidity pool, for loans, for a lot of different aspects. But I think that's sort of what it's going to be. We're going to have regulated stable coins. We're going to have CBDCs. I'm trying to think. I seen a document. I'll have to find it, but it was basically a bank. It wasn't the bank. I'll have to look for it. But yeah, so what was the other question? Did that answer it pretty well?
That's fantastic. And then the other thing, people are asking about other coins. A lot of us here, myself included, got XRP, XLM, and XDC as our primary foundation of our bags. Obviously not financial advice.
Yeah.
What are a few other cryptocurrencies that you have been interested in?
Yeah, so a couple other few that I've been interested in. Quant Network, because of the interoperability solution that they provide. One sec here. I think I did it in this one. Paperless trading, blah, blah, blah. I did a good visual here. Just one sec. 5. Paperless trade, interoperability right here. So I'm just getting down to it. Oh, it got removed. Weird. It should have been in there. Just one sec. I'll pull it up for the visual that I have created for Quant Network, because interoperability is a key player. It's a key topic that everyone should understand. It's not just one network. It's about a network of trusted networks moving value between the systems flawlessly and frictionlessly. Just one sec. Oh yeah, there it was. Where did it go?
I also saw another comment, someone saying, well, this sounds like this is years away. The publications that are getting put out are, I think, misleading to most people that actually take the time to actually find them and read them. Most people aren't spending their New Year's Eve by doing deep, hardcore research like this. So if you're taking the time to do this today when everyone else is getting ready to pop some champagne and party, which we still might do that later on.
Oh,
but
yeah.
You know what I mean? Spending the day here, this is going to pay off, understanding what's happening, and that the publications put out that it's going to be years away. The Bank of England says they're delaying it another 6 months. We're worried, you know, and it's going to be such a sad story when the Ripple lawsuit drags out another year.
Yeah.
The deals are getting done behind the scenes, folks. And by the time it's announced for us, by the time mainstream media gets on it, by the time Jim Cramer says, oh, gee, there actually is some value here with some of these other cryptos, it's going to be too late. And the train will have left the station.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like the thing is, like, even if it is years away, why would somebody want to deprive themselves of the future of the monetary system that we all make money for, that we all are controlled by? You know, I'd rather put the research in now before mainstream media is starting to echo it to every other citizen, because the more that we build our foundation before it goes viral, the better chance that we have at finding a niche that we can make money from this transformation. That's the thing, is a lot of people think that, oh, it's out of my comfort zone. Oh, it's above my pay grade. Well, it's above my pay grade too, but you know, what I've learned from digging into the regulated side of things and ignoring the shit coins, ignoring the shit influencers, and just digging and doing my own research I know I'm set up for my next generations. Like my family will be set for a long time. And the thing that I can do is pay it forward by breaking down things that I've learned. So a person will save hundreds of hours of research by I can give keywords. I could pop out keywords that somebody can go and research my Twitter archive, and they would be years ahead of people. And I do that. I've created videos where it's like, research these keywords, see what you will find, and the video just gets buried. But for example, this is just a visual of Quant Network. With Quant Network, with 3 lines of code, a bank, a financial institution, could then put those 3 lines of code in and then interoperate value between any of these blockchain ecosystems, you know, XDC, Stellar, LCX, Polygon, because what it does is it creates, just one sec, I just got to open up my mind map here. Right here. Just gotta exit that off now. Right here, well, what is Quant Network? Quant Network is a interoperability solution, a middleware that enables developers to write clients that interoperate across Corda, Quorum, Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin, Stellar. And this was from Oracle. So if you guys don't know who Oracle is, look at Oracle, how big they are, multi-billion-dollar technology solution. And with 3 lines of code, that's all it takes. So on any computer system, if you think about a bank franchise, they don't want to have to update all their computers. They need something that can work on the oldest computer. So what it is, they put in 3 lines of code and it brings up like a computer screen that allows them to move value between whatever blockchain, whether it's Ethereum, Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. And let's see right here. Just go over here. And then they're part of the Digital Pound Foundation, right? So Gilbert Verdian, he's one right on the company there of the Digital Pound Foundation. He's one of the founders. Same as Susan Friedman, which is one of the main people at Ripple. So I think Cargo X is another trade digitalization document platform ecosystem. They're partnered with Egypt government. It's on the regulated side of trade, so it's boring. Doesn't have a lot of hype. It's very unknown.
What's the crypto again, and what's the ticker?
Yeah, Cargo X. So it's CXO.
CXO. Okay, folks, this is not financial advice. We got to do our own
not
research.
financial advice. Yeah,
we
exactly.
got to do our own research and look into these. I mean, this is exciting for me because I haven't, looked at some of the solutions for these issues that you've brought up, right? These trade finance issues that are kind of more niche than, who's going to get Swift
Definitely.
6 trillion, right? But there's going to be multiple winners. We've always said that.
There is. Yeah. So the way I look at it, XRP is for cross-border payments, CBDCs, and then XDC is like its little brother, but for trade finance, for digital documents and global trade. And I've broken down a lot of good content. You guys should check out the Lighthouse report. There's a lot of educational information that we've created. Check out my grid. We'll put it in there. But I break down the trade finance industry. I break down, problems with paper. I break down, here's a visual of how Inigio digitalizes documents and XDC is used as the settlement infrastructure. And then this is what it looks like: documents transferable on a global ledger. In trade, all these parties are able to move digital documents without having to pay for the slow transfer times of paper. And here's more proof that we are in amongst the fourth industrial revolution. I know I read this last time, but this is from the International Port Community Systems Association. We are amidst the fourth industrial revolution, and technology is evolving faster than ever. Companies and individuals that don't keep up with some of the major tech trends run the risk of being left behind. Single window systems, amongst others, should prepare and grasp the opportunities allowed by these new trending technologies. And then they listed the technologies empowering the 4IR are blockchain and DLT, robotic process automation, big data and analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things. So I guess I should show you guys what a single window system looks like. One sec.
Now, Citizen, before I when you finish up this, folks are asking about HBAR. So after we talk about it, if we could get into some HBAR. And then one quick question I had for you was, we understand you're breaking down some stuff here that is fundamental analysis, which is so critical. But when you go, and guys, not trading advice, not financial advice, but how much technical analysis are you looking at and doing when you go to make your entries on these cryptocurrencies? Or do you mostly, for the most part, just continue to dollar cost average? I know for myself, I've been telling my community, from a day-to-day basis, I'm only checking the price of crypto when I go live. And I'm telling everyone my update, okay, here's where our cryptos are at. And I just share the prices of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, and then keep it moving. I stopped trading once this liquidity crisis really got going on. But I was just wondering, just a question, if you're comfortable saying.
On my side of things, I'm a dollar cost average guy. And, I've made some bad decisions, throughout the bull run. I'm going to be honest, throughout the bull run, I thought we were going to get another leg up. So I was even shifting profits. Like I was taking profits from other utility tokens and then shifting it into other utility tokens during the bull peak, because I didn't want to miss the chance of missing at those prices. So here I am in the hype of the whole market in general. And I knew there was going to be a crash coming at some point, but I refused to take as much profit as I should have and hold stables for the low point. So I really shot myself in the foot, because even when I was like, hey, it looks like we are going to start tanking, I was like, it's too late to sell. I'm just going to hold. So it's about don't ever buy on green candles. Don't ever buy when everyone's like, oh, bull run, bull run, bull run. I learned that, you learn that the hard way. But now I'm just focused. Like, I know I sleep well at night, even though some of my assets are down 60%, 50%, because I know the long-term utility, and that this pullback is manipulated from the wealthy to shake out the weak, to create a low point, to then get their best entry point for the next run up. It is going to get worse. I know it is going to get worse because we still haven't seen some of the big red flags go down, like Digital Currency Group. I don't know if anybody knows about Digital Currency Group, but they are the next to fall, I believe. Barry Siebert, he owns CoinDesk. He owns, just one sec here, data detectives.
And Genesis Group.
Yeah,
too.
Genesis. Yeah, exactly. So I mapped them out because he's sort of a douchebag. And then they called in.
I love that, man. I love it.
Yeah. So here's the map I created, a public map for anyone. But it covers Ethereum Gate. One sec. Sorry, everyone. Ethereum Gate, Ethereum Free Pass connections that I've mapped out, and then up here is FTX. So if you want to see some of the red flags of FTX, you can click on some of the people. I've got some of the information in there, like Sam's mom. She's a part of this thing called Mind the Gap, which is a Democratic funding group, which raised about $30 million for the Democratic Party. And so it's funny that he's following in his parents' footsteps. Then there's Lawrence Summers. So here, just breaking down Digital Currency Group. Barry Silbert or whatever, he owns Grayscale. Grayscale, I think their assets are trading at like 60% less than the value of Bitcoin because of the risk of bankruptcy. And they also own CoinDesk. So that's why we see the bias between these guys and XRP assets, because they ain't making money on XRP. And they also deleted their About Us page. And the funny reason for that is because I guess a year ago, a lot of people were calling out Digital Currency Group. So after the Epstein thing blew up, I guess Lawrence Summers, this guy right here, one of the professors of Harvard, was on their About Us page as one of the, advisors. And he has close ties with Jeffrey Epstein. So, so everyone was calling out Digital Currency Group, and they just deleted their About page instead of actually addressing it. So, so that's why Digital Currency Group deleted their About page, is because of the ties with Jeffrey Epstein and Lawrence Summers and Digital Currency Group. So just point that out there. And they're in debt. They're trying to get money to pay their debt, which they can't. And yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because what's happening is FTX is going down. We see Digital Currency Group, Barry Silbert, they're in trouble as well. Yeah. Then we were talking about before the show got started about how JP Morgan is now getting sued by the Virgin Islands about some operations 100%. And some names that we won't name. Yeah. But it's all coming back, and it's not only the crypto folks that are getting taken out for the operations that they were running, the money laundering schemes that was FTX. Yeah. But the oldest players and the biggest and the oldest manipulators in the game, to the JP Morgans, are getting taken to court right now too.
100%. And the one thing that, like, we all, as citizens of the globe, we should all know right here, I'm going to bring it up. JP Morgan was the family that corrupted the American financial system. This is not talked about. This is ignored, but I'm going to bring it up. When the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, there was a meeting in 1910 from some of these people. Nelson Eldridge, which was a Rhode Island senator, a JP Morgan associate, a son-in-law to John D. Rockefeller. Abraham Andrew, a secretary of a U.S. secretary. Couple other people from the National City Bank of the New York, the president of JP Morgan's First National Bank of New York. The head of JP Morgan's Bankers Trust Company, and a guy that supported the Rothschilds. They had a meeting, a secret meeting in 1910 in a place called Jekyll Island. And in this meeting, when they showed up there, nobody could mention names. To the staff, there was no names to be mentioned. They were using keywords and stuff like that. And they at this 1910 meeting, they made the plan for the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. This Federal Reserve Act gave the power to the banking families to create money out of thin air and loan it to Congress for interest. So all the money, all the debt that is created from the Federal Reserve is loaned to Congress for percent interest. So every dollar that is created out of thin air from the Federal Reserve, the bankers are making interest on that money. That money, every dollar in our system is enriching the bankers through a secret meeting. This was literally through a secret meeting. And this meeting didn't come out until 1914, until somebody said it was actually really weird that we were at this meeting and this happened. And now this created what has been powering our financial system since 1913. And nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. And there's the JP Morgan people that are in the same scandal with Jeffrey Epstein, that are in the same scandal of Ethereum's free pass. When we look at the ones involved, why did they give Ethereum a free pass compared to XRP that's completely decentralized and it gets shoved under the rug? Well, it's because it enriches the 1%. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy that it just gets buried. And then, well, who was the funders of, this is another one here, who were the funders of the American public school system? Well, John Rockefeller. And another crazy thing, which I'm going to bring up, which nobody else brings up really, is the Rockefeller Foundation, created in 1913, the same year as the Federal Reserve was created, which created an infinity supply of money for the private bank system, which has enriched his family. Today, they own $360 billion in value. That's what we know they own. 360 billion. And then think about it. How many citizens, 99% of the citizens are broke, can barely afford the payments for their rent, for their food. And here's this guy hoarding $360 billion because he created the Federal Reserve System. And part of this, they founded his foundation founded the education system in the United States of America. So through all these years since 1930, he's funding, pumping in money. Now look at the education system today. What's it teach us? It teaches us to hate learning. It teaches us to hate trying to get ahead. It teaches us we can't do anything and we must listen to the system. So how is it fair? I don't know. Can you tell me how is it fair? Does anyone else think this is a little weird that the same year the Federal Reserve was created, he created his Rockefeller Foundation, which then founded the American education system?
Well, and it really goes to show now we've been able to come full circle and show how they have been able to push their agenda, because it was so taboo, conspiracy to talk about these groups and these entities that were really manipulating society and pushing forward an agenda. And now it's like the agenda's been exposed and the foundations have been exposed. And now since they started to use crypto exchanges like FTX to fund the operations, we can actually track it in real time on blockchain. And another reason why they're probably hesitant to move on over is they don't want all this manipulation to be tracked and traced, and citizens like us breaking this down and calling them out. Now, citizen, this information that we're providing here brings us up, it gives us an idea where it's going. I wanted to hone in on the timeline a little bit further and how you think this switchover is going to happen, because I'm in the camp of, I don't know what the Black Swan event's going to be. I don't know if it's what level of Black Swan it's going to be. But for me, I tend to side on this isn't going to be drug out over 5 to 10 years. Over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a lot of value come online, get brought updated. But are you seeing kind of systemic events? What do you think happens? As we talk about rolling into 2023 here, where are we at on this timeline for you?
Well, okay, so let's bring up a timeline from the International Capital Market Association. This is a huge standard setting across the globe organization. And here's a timeline. Here's an exact timeline from them that goes into 2025. And here talking about rule books, creating blah, blah, blah. And it's been accurate so far. And I've shared this on my Twitter before. So right here, by October 2022, FSB with standard setting bodies, so that's the Financial Stability Board, to establish or adjust regulatory, supervisory, and oversight frameworks consistent with the FSB's recommendation, international standards, and guidelines for global stablecoin arrangements. Everyone knows about the global stablecoin arrangements. Here's ISO TC 307. I could break this down in another one, but I've written about this in the grid. Grid edition number 2. That's an interoperability working group that works on standards for DLT interoperability. What else? There's SWIFT to support ISO 222 messaging, be decommissioned by November 2025. Right here. So what else? Let's see, where is it? Launch
now, this is the
consultation.
timeline, though, if things go smoothly.
If things go well, and we got to remember, things change constantly. So there is no accurate thing. This is just an idea. And like right here, by July 2023, Financial Stability Board with standard setting bodies review the implementation and assessment of the need to refine or adapt international standards on global stablecoin arrangements. So it seems like 2023 is going to be the year we're going to finally see Tether in the hot light. We're going to see, USDC maybe in the hot light. The stable coins are the next to get attacked. The UK HMT, Financial Conduct Authority, not bills of exchange, Bank of England, to launch financial market infrastructure sandbox. That sandbox, I've actually written about that in the grid, is GFIN. GFIN is right here, which was down here. GFIN is a global technology sandbox created in 2018 by the Financial Conduct Authority. Along with a group of international financial regulators, GFIN consists of 70+ organizations made up of financial regulators and standard setting bodies. These entities collaborate by sharing their technology experience in respective markets, including emerging technology and business models. This group creates a global sandbox for regulatory cooperation on innovative technology, including DLT, AI, et cetera, sharing research and developments which aid in scaling innovative solutions more rapidly between global jurisdictions. So that's that sandbox I think they're launching, even though they've been working on it for 4 years. And then look at by 2024, EU to have framework for crypto assets, enabling the uptake of DLT and crypto assets in the financial sector, enabling use of interoperable digital identity solutions. So that would be the LEI, legal entity identifiers in global trade, things like that, other digital IDs. What else? The ESMA to establish European single access point. Let's see. So that would be the single window system that I was about to break down. Oh my God. So many windows open. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to think here. Where was that? But anyways, I think this is definitely a 3 to 5 year thing. The global trade industry is going to take 3 years until we see, mainstream adoption of digital technology transforming trade, because right now the biggest problem is education. There is no platforms teaching the citizens. The universities are just starting to start building the curriculum to teach this stuff. The ICC, like these industry working papers, are just discussing how they're going to do this stuff. So there is a lot to learn. There's still a lot of time. I don't think we're going to be millionaires, next year.
Well, and I think it's important that you brought up Tether, and I wanted to add that we still have most of the trading volume in the space in crypto is done on Tether, which is one of those events on my radar. And I continue to affirm my audience that there's about a dozen or more different black swan events that could play out. Totally. You basically prepare the same way for all of them, which is not holding Tether, which is,
Yep.
having some food, some prepping essentials maybe. Inflation's
Yeah.
going to kill us. I just covered eggs are up 50% this last year. Talk about catching
Yeah.
some gains. Eggs are
Yeah.
going stupid. And
Yeah.
so we prepare basically the same way, but I think it's important. So what I want to ask, what are a few other events on your radar or things that need to be cleaned up? Specifically in the crypto
Yeah.
space, we know Tether needs to
Yeah.
show us if you have the
We need
reserves.
audits. Yeah.
We'd be glad to
Yeah.
be pleasantly surprised, but show us the
Yeah.
reserves. What other events, situations do you have on your radar?
Yeah, so Tether's been a big one for a long time. And what else? Well, digital currency group now, Ethereum free pass. Like I'm just waiting daily for more and more stuff to get leaked. It's funny to see the SEC Gov, the ones that protect us, but then they release information to us that's supposed to be protecting us, but then they redact it all. Like you're like, why can't I see who he's having lunch with, right? Like Hinman, there's so much crap. But to net, like those are the big ones, and the rest is just expect the unexpected, man. I didn't see FTX blowing up out of the thin air. Like I'm not a psychic or anything like that. I even had I had $500 of just just a little bit of trading change on there, and we'll see that again. But
Well, it started last year with some of the hedge funds, private equity guys going bust first, getting margin called through the
yeah,
bear market. Then the FTX started the exchanges, so that's kind of
yeah,
exposed the exchanges. But then, like you said, we still have to set the stable coins right, get stablecoin
yeah,
regulation, and then we're going to be able to have the rules of the road kind of set, and then it'll
yeah,
just be a continuous flow of value coming onto
yeah.
distributed ledger technology, and we'll be eating that up. That value is going
I,
to come onto the protocols that we are investing in right now. Although it hurts being down 50-75% on our bags, we know that it's coming, and we know that we're going to survive. These
yeah,
exchanges have to get cleaned up, stable coins have to get cleaned up, and then a lot of these projects, whatever hype they were able to catch last year, I hope
yeah,
that they enjoyed it, because it ain't coming
yeah.
back. Like, we're not going to have another hype. Well, I mean, we're going to have a lot of hype, but it's not going
But
into BS. It's
it's
going to be
going to
going
be a
into
little different.
utility.
Exactly. And that's why I say, citizens, don't get pissed off at yourself that you made bad investments. I've made lots of bad investments. I've lost a lot of money, but focus on, like, use it as a learning lesson. Realize where your headspace was at, write down why you entered it and how you can do it better. Plan, sometimes we got to learn the hard way, and I understand that. And it's just important that don't dwell on money. We can always make more money. Your life, I had one person reach out to me saying that they're thinking about ending their life because they lost such a drastic amount of money. But like what I said to him was, you are unique. You are irreplaceable. Money is replaceable. Money is not everything. It is to some people, but it's about finding bliss in your family and always learning. Find something you're passionate about and build. So, for example, for me, my always learning is the fourth industrial revolution. I'm always learning about digital trade. I'm always learning about this stuff. So then I could pay it forward by teaching this stuff, because I see how mainstream media buries this stuff under the rug. And I've done videos. You guys go to my YouTube video and you can see my backlink analysis of how they deter some of this stuff. And so it's about finding and educating yourself. Like, that's the only way I've got through these bear markets. Like back in 2018, I was down like $60,000 for a 2-year period of time. But I kept learning, I kept building, I kept saying, okay, well, who are they connected to? Mapping out the partnerships as data. That is where you see and that's what will help you sleep at night, is fully understanding your investment before you invest. Don't hype into things. And if it doesn't have connections to the traditional system, it will die out one day. So beware, because these regulations, and that's the best thing that I think I could say to help inspire someone. And just right here on my screen, so I can get rid of it, this is a visualization of a single window network. So what it means is, in one window of a computer, you can move value documentation between all these different pieces. government controlling agencies, commercial banks, commercial or government and ministry and departments, shipping agents and lines, freight terminals, customs brokers, customs. These are all able to move digital documents through a single window system. So when you guys hear, Europe single window, when you hear Canada single window, these single windows, this means everyone in the trade industry will be able to move value, information between all players in the game. And this was a visual map that I put together. This was a research project with that XX anonymous researcher, and this was of TradeLens. TradeLens just recently went bank, or they got the funding pulled on it. One of the biggest trade platforms, but it was built on private Hyperledger, and they didn't share data. They weren't able to move data from TradeLens to XDC. So say, for example, if you had a document that was digital on the TradeLens ecosystem, if you wanted to move that document, that digital document over to the XDC network, you would have to print that document off the TradeLens platform. You'd have to print it off, and then you would have to send it to the other person, to whatever the person on XDC's office, and then they would have to re-upload the information as digital data onto the XDC digital document solution. So it was very broken because it wasn't interoperable with other platforms. The data wasn't interoperable. So yeah, so for example, XDC is interoperable because it's built on an open source public distributed ledger technology, meaning it can move value with other public networks. So for example, Quant network, it can connect with Quant, it can connect with CargoX. And SDoc also just became a part of the DCSA standard. One sec, SDoc, DCSA standard. Right here. No, not SDocs. I mean Inigio. Oops. So many different things. It's right here. So I actually did this, the grid. You guys are gonna learn another thing about digital trade platforms. So I'm just gonna go like this and as you can see with how much information that I put into this, there's so much information and it just keeps getting buried. Like I don't even have time to research for the things that I'm building right now between work and full time, come home, research, create content, family. It's all over the place. But where was it? The DCSA standard. Anyway, the DCSA standard is a digital document standard for documents in global trade. And right here, this is it. I created a visual, so right here. So welcome to the Digital Container Shipping Association. And they are a nonprofit transforming the container shipping industry with electronic bills of lading, interoperability framework, and it's a proof of concept. This proof of concept was completed July 12th, 2022. So this was a big news for the trade finance industry. And right here, these were the solutions that are interoperable through this DCSA standard: CargoX, SDocs, eDocs Online, Wave BL. And then Inigio, which is XDC's digital document solution, is now a part of this standard. So since they're now a part of this standard, they're able, I should be putting Inigio's logo right there. So then you can see that it can move documents with those other trade platforms. And that is the definition of interoperability that people should understand. It's about moving value flawlessly between other ecosystems.
Now, Citizen, I want to, before I forget, get your quick take on HBAR, and then I want to get your take on Flare. We have the Flare drop is supposed to be coming here on January 9th, is what I'm hearing from Hugo Filion.
Yeah.
You're laughing with me because we're both I'm waiting for this thing to actually happen, right?
Yeah, because we've been waiting for what, 2 years?
Yeah. So HBAR and Flare, what do you got for us?
Yeah. So the HBAR, I haven't dug too deep into HBAR because I've just stuck around my main 4. I know HBAR is a very powerful network, and I'm looking for a mind map from XX. He did a really good one around HBAR, and I got a small bag. I think it's got a lot of potential. It's just I put most of my funds in Constellation DAG so I can get a node compared to HBAR. I know their governing council is really well off. There's a lot of good members, but I really don't got too much content to break down on HBAR.
It's interesting because I've been in a similar spot for HBAR. I'm like, this is great tech, attractive council you guys have put together. But I'd like to see a little bit more adoption with the actual currency, and with some of these technologies and use cases, it's like, okay, I get it. That's nice. Great counsel. Is anyone actually going to use the token though? And so it's interesting you say that, they got a good stuff there. That's a great visual right there.
Yeah, this is a good visual just of like XX. So if you guys haven't followed him on Twitter, he creates a lot of great mind maps. Deep. I've never met him. I've just done research collaboration projects where me and him message back and forth like, hey, found this connection, found this, then we map it out for other people to see. But yeah, so it just breaks down like the consensus. I did see that they are working on CBDCs and that they are XRPL did a video on it about being ISO 222 messaging compliant. He found a document that stated that. And yeah, so there's a lot of good, and these are a bunch of different visuals that have been created over time, which you can find on our Twitter accounts like LCX, Constellation DAG, then there's Hyperledger. This was another one from XX. I think it's a good network, and I think it has long term. It's just I don't have a lot of deep research. Like I've stuck my niche. Like I've made my niche as trade finance, digitalization, fourth industrial revolution, and my favorite are XDC, XRP, Quant, XL, a little bit of XLM. Hope that covers it.
And your thoughts and your excitement for the Flare network. What do you got?
Yeah, so one sec here. Let me see if I can find that visual map. The visual map of, one sec. Is that it right here? So yeah, I'm excited to make money off of the value, the tokenized value that we have, rolling the songbird. I've been collecting my songbird and all the flare. I can't wait for that to finally come through because it's been promised for so long. But right here, this was a visual from XX there of just breaking down, Flare. You got the trusted tokens, you got the smart contracts, and like having smart contracts on the XRPL, I think that's going to be a game changer.
That's basically the best visual that's been done on the Flare ecosystem. I remember that. I mean, the post is from last year, and I remember that circulating. I know I got that one saved in my documents as well. That's one of the best visuals right there on Flare. Yeah.
So but I haven't dug too deep because I've just been waiting to finally get the tokens and to finally, it's just been a more like, oh, it's gonna happen. Oh, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, so I think the last thing here is I just want to break this down because mainstream media won't do it. Is this was from the Think 7 Communique. Pronounce my terrible enunciation. And look at Global Solutions, the World Policy Forum. Why haven't we ever heard of the World Policy Forum? They have a Global Solutions Initiative. Like how is this disconnected from the citizens of the countries? Like, don't you think it would be important for all of us to know, like, commit to strengthening multilateralism and preserve the G20 as an effective forum for global problem solving? And then there's just a couple snippets in here. The Think 7 policy recommendations: create open and inclusive climate clubs with a G7 core in close partnership with the EU members and countries willing to join to lower greenhouse gases by 60% by 2030 compared to 2010 levels. So this just shows, they're on the hunt for wasted energy. Like the net neutral thing is it's reality. It's what's happening. So to be on a hopium level, to think that Bitcoin is going to go on forever with the energy wastage is hard to believe, because these standard setting bodies are the ones that are attacking it. They are the ones creating the legislation that allows it. So, and then end fossil fuels, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to see that. I think fossil fuels are very important.
And the Bitcoin community won't let Bitcoin update to you know,
Yeah, to something that's energy efficient. Like they like proof of work. Okay, well, if you like proof of work, you better like the opinions of the leaders, the standard setting bodies. So right down here, take the lead on the introduction of a central bank digital currency to enhance global financial stability. The G7 needs to take a lead in creating coherence and in avoid fragmentation of CBD systems at the global level. A series of learning pilots implementations is proposed, and which allow for oversight and support for development of CBDCs in 3 economies with financial and technical support by the G7, central banks, BIS, Bank of International Settlements, World Bank, and IMF, and other relevant international financial institutions to foster interoperability. Like, come on, why isn't there mainstream, like an hour breakdown of CBDCs to this day? Why? Why is it covered up? So then here's some more recommendations. Right here, create a trading system that works for our global commons. The World Trade Organization is a central multilateral institution that is important for securing shared prosperity. Its realm must be broadened with regards to governance of sustainability aspects of trade. Example, through the World Trade Organization subsidy rules or an environmental goods agreement. The G7 should support a successful 12 ministerial conference and continue its leadership to reform the WTO, including through the use of plurilateral negotiations. Increase resilience of global value chain networks. Foster cooperation to secure strategically important global value chains by reforming a global alliance with like-minded countries to collaborate, to take collaborative actions and protect global value chain networks. So right there, what are global value chains? The whole process of a company moving from raw materials to a finished product, and then from the finished product to citizens' homes that we buy, that's a global value chain. From the start to the finish, the company processes, that is what a global value chain is. And they're saying about moving them to net neutral, the global value chains. And then just a couple other little small ones here. Lead by example to galvanize domestic implementation of the SDGs within all G7 countries. This SDGs remain a multilaterally agreed frame of reference that can guide investments into a better future. Public spending policies and projects can be reviewed against their SDG contribution. Explore new SDG funding sources. The G7 should support innovative initiatives to develop new sources of funding, for example, via a new global tax base with a minimal tax rate of value added or financial transaction tax. The G7 could spearhead efforts to align tax systems and incentives with SDG achievement, working closely with the G20 and other multilateral partners. Yeah, it's like, holy smokes, like this is the top level agenda right here. Top level agenda that I'm covering, and mainstream media is shoving this under the noses because they don't want the citizens to get united and to stand against this stuff, to even talk about it. They want it just shoved under the rug. Stupid is what stupid does. They just follow the herd, right? So, but anyways, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Oh, wait, right here, empower citizens. Here we go. Citizen of the future telling us right now, word for word, empower citizens in the digital economy. The G7 countries should push for regulations that give citizens true control over who has access to their personally identifiable data they create in the digital economy. It should enable citizens, with the help of representatives, to set the terms under which their information can be used. Entities that want to use somebody's personal data must access it only from a consumer-controlled data repository under agreed upon terms. Government should establish data commons, and this is what the digital economy agreement is happening. This is digital data. That is what I can give to you guys, citizens. Happy New Year's, happy 2022. Keep digging. That's it. Yeah,
Almost
so
2 hours of laying it down once again, brother. I just wanna say
yeah,
thank you for giving us all this knowledge, and guys,
no
I just wanna
problem.
say what we can do to support creators like this, guys that are laying it down, go subscribe to his YouTube. We're gonna put down the links down below for his Twitter.
Mhm.
What else where else can we support you, brother?
That's the two ways. I'm on Twitter and YouTube, and I'm actually working on a plan right now to go multi-platform like Instagram, just to get some content on there as well, for this next year. And yeah, I think that the biggest thing to support is, retweet the stuff, comment, if you get something from it, leave a comment, leave your honest opinion. The more interaction and engagement we get on this stuff is, oh, weird, is, yeah, that just cut out there. Weird, crazy. Am I still connected to the internet? Huh, weird. All my pages just completely shut down. That's really weird. Yeah, okay, well that's good. But yeah, anyways, engage, share the stuff, talk about it, have the conversations. I think that's the best way you can support. And if you take credit from somewhere, like give credit. I've seen too many people that just like even Blockworks took they took the time to erase the name tags off of XX's research mind maps, and they took it for their own. And it's like, why would you erase the names off somebody's hard worked research to map this out, and then you take it as your own? It's like, come on, that's some shady stuff. So just give credit where it's due. If you get something, leave credit, share it, whatever. But yeah, I think that's the best. Yeah. 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 Totally. Yeah. 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 Exactly. And the community. Yeah, and before I leave, I just want to say it's about the community, right? Like it's about, not being like, look at, we're citizens, everyone here listening that have listened to this, we're citizens from all around the globe. We're all dealing with the same problems. We're enslaved by a system that's run by the 1%. We're being fed by a spoon-fed garbage. Look at the Twitter files. The Twitter files have exposed how the mainstream media, how even the FBI, that's one thing that I said on there was, just one sec, before we start doing our Nancy dance, was right here. The Twitter files that are based on real stuff. The FBI left a statement. It's unfortunate that conspiracy theorists and other are feeding the American public misinformation with the sole purpose of attempting to discredit the agency. It's sad because the Twitter files are based on real content from Elon that he got when he bought Twitter as a company, and they're calling it conspiracy. It's really sad to see that all this is a conspiracy, but it's not. It's a reality. And people, you guys can go to my Twitter account. The pinned tweet. It took me 5 hours to piece this together, but it is a fourth industrial revolution breakdown rabbit hole. It's a thread of threads. So you can go in here and you can spend a couple hours and you'll be like, whoa, here's a video on this, here's a video on that, here's some good visuals. Here's the standard setting bodies and entities of the global monetary infrastructure. This was a project, and you can get a lot of my best content that's in there in one place. I put it there so you guys can go and have like a little pocketbook of, right here, COVID-19 and digitalization, the great acceleration. That's what we're going through. The journey to trade finance transformation. This is the conspiracy stuff. It's sad, right? And here, mapping trade tech. Trade in the fourth industrial revolution. This was from the World Economic Forum. Well, don't worry, citizens. I'm mapping it for all the citizens, the standard setting body, interoperable. Here's some of the keywords. You get into these keywords, you will get into the future. Stay away from the meme coins and the shit coins. So, and if these videos are ever too long, you get to my YouTube channel and they're 45-minute videos. Watch it at 1.5 speed and then slow it down, and you get through the content twice as fast. But there's so much information, there's not enough time, and I hope this brought some light and can help transform some of your guys' year. So that's what I wanted to do, is just give back with some of the highest information that I could think of and break it down in a normal person perspective.
Yeah, amen, brother. And I see your guys' comments. Yes, I realized that I was muted for the last statement and spiel that I just gave. So I'll just summarize it briefly, guys.
Yeah.
I was just saying to my Discord in the weekly call this morning that if they give us another year here to extend things out, keep XRP under 50 cents, what we can do is not only stack these assets that we believe in that are suppressed, but we are also going to be able to set up the trusts, the LLCs, the entities to preserve our wealth. And that's what we were talking about in my Discord this morning is and as you brought up, we don't got to go create our own foundation like the Rockefellers, but we want to take advantage of the tax laws as they're written, setting up our LLCs, our entities, the corporate structures, the legal structures, the trusts, so that not only can we take advantage of this opportunity, but we can actually keep this and preserve the wealth that is going to be coming our way, whether it's a year away, 3 years, 5 years. By 2030, they have an agenda and they're rolling it out. And like you said, it'll accelerate by simulations and events that are running in real time. And so that's what we're going to continue to do, is break it all on down for you guys in real time. Go give Citizen of the Future a follow on YouTube and Twitter. Let's support his work. And brother, I feel like there was still quite a bit more that I wanted to get at. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to make this a regular session. I know that people love it. So thank you so much once again, brother.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks again. And citizens, make sure you keep on living, keep on embracing time, and keep on learning. And make sure you leave your comments. Let us know how we did and if you liked it. And we'll talk again soon. Thanks. Cheers.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. On the way out, can you do us a favor? Smash that thumbs up. Share this message on Twitter. Share this within your Discord groups and your community. Let other like-minded individuals get tapped in, and let's take advantage of this opportunity. God bless you all. Happy New Year's. Take care out there.
Yeah. Cheers.